Hello class, here we are beginning a new week, and this week we're going to talk about groups and teams. And this is a really important chapter, section rather, in organizational behavior, because it really talks about the dynamics of teams. Teams can be a lot of things. Two or more people are a team. But we could be talking about large departments and big companies, or smaller departments, or matrix teams, teams that are put on special projects and that type of thing. But in this particular section, this topic summary that I'm going to give to you now essentially presents three sets of factors that affect groups, including purpose and type of group, context and composition, and internal factors. Now, groups vary in the purpose that they serve the organization and the duration that they are needed. There are various barriers that exist that can derail a group or team, but for the most part, teamwork is a competency that can be learned. So one of the things that we talked about throughout the course were norms, and in one way or another. And norms are pretty much standards, what reasonable people would expect. Norms can govern effective behavior. They also have something to do with psychological safety that can be developed over time. So throughout this section, some of the things that we are going to deal with are going to be answering the question, what is the distinction between groups and teams? And we're going to be able to give examples of each one of them. And the second one is going to be to explain the polarization effect and the impact of peer pressure. So this particular section is very much going to talk about team dynamics and what happens within a team. A lot of times we don't like certain individuals, their personalities or whatever, we don't mesh with them, but we're forced to work with them in a team. And the thing is that a lot of times these types of interactions can cause conflicts. And I think that conflicts, for the most part, can be resolved by different people in the team developing a focus on goals and objectives and not necessarily individual personalities. So these are all components of organizational behavior. So a team is very important because you're not working alone. Even in a group, you're working with a bunch of other people. In an organization, sometimes you really don't have the autonomy to say, okay, not always anyway, I want to work with this one or I want to work with that one. This particular week, week 5, you're going to be getting another individual assignment. That individual assignment will be basically 2 pages, double-spaced, in APA. I would say those 2 pages, I want it to be good, solid work. In other words, you're going to review these items that I'm going to ask you about, and you're going to be able to articulate them in such a way where the end result is going to have quality thought. So I'm not so much interested in the amount of words, but again, I'm not looking for half a page either, than I am the content. And with those 2 pages, I'm looking for 3 references at least that are going to back up what you say. The other thing we're going to do, we're going to have another participative discussion this week, and that is going to be on the course material. I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do at this point for that discussion, but that will be forthcoming very shortly. What else? Okay, you've got the overview of what this chapter is about, and now I would like to briefly, on the reading, listening, and viewing sections that we'll be going through on each day of the week, there are essentially 6 objectives that I'm going to be covering. Now, the way this kind of pans out, I'm going to do an objective a day, all right? Just so you'll know. In between that, I'll have the individual assignment and I'll have the participative discussion. Being 6 objectives, okay, the objectives that we're going to try to meet are going to be as follows. The first objective, and you can follow right along with your book if you like, is going to be recognizing the difference between a group and a team, which I have already mentioned to you. So we will be doing that starting on April 2nd. April 3rd is going to be to explain factors that lead to effective groups. What makes a group coherent? What are the things that make groups develop a synergy where they can work well together? The third objective is going to be to describe what we, and I already had mentioned this, what we refer to as group norms and their development, including the 5-stage and the 2-stage models of development. So on the 4th of April, we're going to be going over that. The next objective on the 5th of April is going to be describe group decision-making processes. Okay? So what are the different stages that the group goes through where they are able to actually find out how they arrive at decisions. It isn't just brainstorming, that's part of it, but do we use the critical path method? And what exactly do we use? Do we look at all available alternatives as to what works and what doesn't work? The next day we're going to be, on the next objective, okay, is going to be to describe barriers, this is on the 6th of April, to effective group decision making. Of course, I already had mentioned it, but one of those things has to be conflict. And how do we deal with conflict? How do we agree to disagree about different things? And finally, on the 7th of April, we're going to apply content on groups and teams to organizations. How do we do that? And finally, on the last day, which is going to be April the 8th, I am going to post your individual assignment, which will be due on the 15th. Okay? But the participative discussion will probably come somewhere in the middle of the week. And again, I'm looking for 2 solid paragraphs. You answer me, and if you're the first respondent, or you answer a peer. That's a minimum of 2 solid paragraphs. If you want to answer me, which a lot of you have been doing, and a peer, that's fine too. But I need at least 2 solid paragraphs. And that will also be due on the 15th. Okay, so that's kind of the overview of everything we're going to do this week. And again, if anything really is drop dead urgent, you can always get me, text me, call me on my cell. Email is the least preferable, although I do always check my emails. But if you know you're working on stuff and you need to get to me quick, that's the way to do it. So,
have a great week and talk soon.